Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Outsider podcast. Today I sit down with Ken and Derek, the owners of Great Outdoors. Great Outdoors is in business 50 years this year, and to celebrate, I sat down with Ken and Derek in the store on Georgia Street to chat about the last 50 years, to chat about their own outdoor experiences and how they got into the outdoors, their transition from the Saturday boys, as they call it, to the owners of one of the top Irish outdoor retailers. And it's really like they're really leading the way in Irish outdoor retail. Really cool to sit down, get inside their heads a little bit and understand the journey, understand outdoor culture from their side and how it's changed over the last 50 years. I want to thank Christine, Ken, Derek, all the team over in Great Outdoors for letting us come in early to record this podcast in store. And I'd highly recommend, if you haven't been into Great Outdoors, and I'm sure all of the listeners of the Outsider podcast are frequent customers of Great Outdoors, to go in, get your boots fitted, explore the wide range of amazing products that they have available in store for everything from Wicklow rambles to Everest expeditions. There's currently an expedition that Great Outdoors are supporting, led by Jason Black, that's over in Nepal at the minute with the goal of summiting Mount Everest. So really, from sea to summit, Great Outdoors does it all. So massive thanks to Great Outdoors for having us in store and for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. So without further ado, let's dive into the chat.
I think all your adventures probably come from somebody telling you something and you're like, oh my God. The reason I went was Derek years ago was telling me about a customer had come in and said, I'm going to this mountain in Morocco. And he was like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And then off you go, so. But I'm going to the Tatra Mountains to do the 7 summits in Poland.
Oh, amazing.
In September, so.
That's like a less... Yeah, I don't really know much about.
That's why I'm going.
Yeah, cool.
I don't want to meet any people.
And it's with Jason, but
yeah.
Is that a new one that he's doing, or is that class? And you just had the guys in for Everest. They were just in during the week.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
What's that season like? Because supporting our Irish adventure is sort of your guys' tagline, but it's way more than that, because I suppose why do business in that way? Because a lot of the time, yeah, maybe there might be some business benefit to supporting these adventures. But even as we were talking before the cameras were rolling, there's a lot of people that come in and get kitted out for adventures that aren't posting about it. They're not making a big fanfare about it. So what does supporting Irish adventure actually mean to you guys?
I think in the case of these guys, they both had two completely different stories, and when they committed and signed up and began training with Jason Black, Jason was kind of leaking to us their determination. They're really good guys. They're both doing it for their own individual causes, and it's just something that sits with us. It's a moment. There's a I don't want to say there's 100 requests each year for people doing different adventures, whether it's Marathon des Sables or climbing Everest. Just some of them resonate with you, and you think, what, this is really worth getting behind. Obviously we'd love to get behind absolutely everything that everybody is doing, but it's so unique, both of these. When you look at in the case of Pádraig being a semi-professional / professional county footballer, and then completely switching codes as it were to do something like this, and Pádraig has his own motivation for doing it, and Adam, and being the youngest, aiming to be the youngest Irish climber to summit Everest is something that you think that's really cool.
Yeah, but you support a lot more than just mountaineering. But I suppose mountaineering is kind of at the core of it's the pinnacle, I suppose, in many ways, in outdoor experiences or whatever. Are there any other sort of standout expeditions or people that have come in that have surprised you, or expeditions that you've got behind that you're that was special? We're glad that we had.
We're very lucky, Matt. We could sit here all day and talk about hundreds of things that we've supported that we loved, and you say there's very little business gain from it. There's none, and we do it because we love it. And we had that. Jason has been our ambassador for I can't remember how long. Maybe I better not say aloud. But we just loved him, and his background, even through scouting and him giving back to people, and he's bringing kids at him, and he's such a nice guy. And when we started supporting him, we were giving him a lot of kit, and he was always after us. How do I give it back to you? What do you want me to do? And we were like, we actually don't want anything. We just we love what you're doing, and he has had some spectacular summits in all kinds of things, and he just wants to be there. He wants to be outside and adventure, and so do we.
And I think in standouts, there's you've got moments when you see John O'Regan walking through the door and you think, oh no, what's he up to? What's it going to be now? And then he's 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days.
Yeah, what was that initial conversation like? Like when John walks into the store, it's like, guys, I've got this idea, right?
Yeah, and you can see the end. He's going to do it. It's not he might be 18 months out from this, but it's and a few of the standouts have been with John. I think we got to go back to the very start. We're both working here since 1987, in some form, or and haven't stopped being working all the way through since from 1987. And the initial spirit of adventure, sense of adventure, was set by Leslie and Gerry. The founders of Great Outdoors. When I think it was in '87, it was the Shanxi expedition, and they got us involved in it. We were just young kids on the shop floor, but it was, hey guys, this is going on. Great Outdoors are getting behind it. You're getting behind it. Here's your little role.
Yeah.
And, whether it's stacking the shoes up for the guys to try on or getting stuff organised, you felt part of a team. That led on to Makalu, and then the first successful summit of Everest. And we're shop floor staff, slowly getting into little bits of being involved in management within the business. But you're involved in that expedition team. When those guys came through the door in the airport, we're there with Irish flags, feeling part of the team. And I think that set it really. That set the tone for the rest of our Great Outdoors lives. That it's great to be involved in stuff like this.
I think these sorts of expeditions could sort of be viewed as being like a selfish pursuit in some ways. But what I keep coming back to, even with my own sort of outdoor stuff, is that like it's only as selfish as you want to make it. Like if you bring people in for that experience, and like the people fitting them for their boots, or even just the person who started yesterday who's just shadowing Ian fitting them for like boots or whatever, like that makes an impact on that person and makes them feel a part of this bigger thing. And it's not just about Jason climbing a mountain or whoever going off to do.
Yeah, because I suppose when you look at the case of Ian is talking about, well, when I fitted the last guy out for Everest, the
depth of knowledge there is just...
But it makes climbing Everest real for everybody too.
Yeah.
And it might be a pursuit or a personal pursuit, but that person, let's say they're a young person, they don't have to be, can be sitting there and thinking, geez, I'd love to do Everest.
Yeah.
And especially with, as you said, Pádraig and Adam there, like they're young guys that's just decided they wanted to do this. And in an aspirational world for everybody, anything is possible. And Everest is the pinnacle of mountaineering and possibly of everything on earth. And everybody knows what it is and where it is, and kind of somewhere in their mind realises how difficult it is. And anybody can do it.
But it's, we mentioned those early days with the ultimately the Everest expedition, and now you fast forward to Pádraig and Adam. It's the same story. It's guys putting the effort in. When you see them genuinely listen to them, and their expedition leader is saying these guys are ready. And back then, Leslie and the team were saying these guys are ready.
It was almost like a company ethos that you just inherited when you
absolutely
took over the.
It absolutely is. Yeah, it 100% is.
Yeah, I do. Like, I'm really curious to know what working in Great Outdoors was like, and what the Irish outdoors was like in the like way back when you guys first started. But to sort of set the scene a little bit more, I'm curious to know how you guys ended up being, like, what was the outdoors for you growing up? Did you grow up in an outdoorsy family? And did you meet in Great Outdoors? Like, you're good friends as well as being business partners now. So what was the sort of childhood relationship with the outdoors, and then to the point where you started working in Great Outdoors, and what did that look like, your first day in Great Outdoors, or do you remember?
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't come from a particularly outdoorsy family, but I went through the Cubs and Scout system all the way up to working with Great Outdoors. You know, earliest memories will be maybe 7 or 8 on the Cub exchange program down in Galway and climbing Crow Patrick, thinking that
was your Everest then.
That absolutely blown away by it. And we had really active scout leaders, and they were absolutely brilliant. You know, when you think of how, when I look at scout groups today compared to what we had, what was available to them facilities wise and stuff like that, what they did for us was absolutely fantastic. And I ended up working in Great Outdoors. I hassled my work experience and career guidance teacher in transition year to be here. One of my buddies was here the year before. He was telling me all about it, saying, this is the place I want to be. So I waited, refused other opportunities. And on the 1st of June in 1987, I started work here, and I'm still here. And I think it's, as we grew up, when you mentioned ethos, or the ethos of the company, very early on, like our customers, it's more of a community. Our staff is more family than staff members. You know, we all love coming to work, and we did from a very early age. We were encouraged. We were sent, very early on. I mentioned that to you at the Everest expedition time. We were sent on early management, stepping into management courses very early on. You know, we were brought to European trade shows. It was, the options back then of going to college and stuff like that. I remember thinking at a very early age, I'm actually learning more here. I'm being mentored better, and I'm getting more experience and, better opportunities here than any college course I could have done at that time. You know, and I suppose other parts of it then, what was it like then? You were instantly, you had to have serious product knowledge from a very early age, because there was no internet. So everybody, whether it's, people, we're not shipping boots to Donegal. The people from Donegal are coming down to us. People from Kerry are coming up to us, and Leslie and Gerry had built this store. We were one of the very few in Ireland that had that type of kit to hand, So it was just amazing dealing with people, and it was serious stuff, because as the world changes and access to Kilimanjaro becomes probably normal, is normal now. Back then, remember people going to Peru, and we can name it. It's wow, and you wouldn't hear from them. You're hoping everything was safe. You couldn't wait till they came back to tell
and
the
then
story.
You almost lived that experience,
and that was your knowledge, for the next guy going to Peru or going to Argentina. It was just.
Those guys would come home from their adventures, and we'd have a slideshow in the shop.
Oh, class.
And all the staff would be there, and all their family and friends. And obviously we had a bit of space, so we could set up a projector and a screen and look at people's slides, and they'd tell you all about their adventures. I just say, even Peru, in your mind was this dark country down the end of
deepest,
summer.
darkest Peru.
And you were, wow, jungle, and somebody would come home then, and we'd have a little slideshow. And I mean, 20 or 30 people, not a big, extravagant showing, but it was so exciting. And you're right, you wouldn't hear from them for 2 months, and next of all, hey, I'm back. It was amazing.
All these stories,
and it was great. It was so exciting.
What about yourself in terms of, same sort of question that I asked Derek about, getting into the outdoors? Did you grow up surrounded by it at all?
No, my family were not into the outdoors at all. My first real memory is my dad's cousin was a leader in the Sea Scouts in Dollymount. And he was saying, bring Ken down, he'd love it. So my dad brought me down on an open day, if you like, and I went sailing. With my dad and his cousin and a few other, kind of big enough dinghy, if you like. And I was like, this is absolutely unreal. I'm outside and I'm in the water. And so I joined the Cubs instantly, couldn't believe I was in the Cubs. And I imagine
where was this all my life?
Yeah, exactly. And I was only a child, and it was amazing. And I just stayed in the Scouts my whole life. and I loved it, and it teaches you great things. Derek is talking about mentoring and work and the whole lot, and going to Great Outdoors. When I left school, I went to Clogher Road to do outdoor education, and I became an instructor for rock climbing and kayaking. And then I worked in the National Adventure Centre in Tiglin. You're too young to remember that.
That's it's now like that's Devil's Glen.
It is, yeah.
The buildings are still there.
Yeah. And but I was working there on a FOSS scheme, so like a trainee scheme, and you got paid like very, very poorly. And obviously, I wanted gear. And my now wife worked in Great Outdoors and said, "Oh my God, I work in this place," and she was just my mate, and she said, "I'll get you a job." And so I got a Saturday job, and Derek was already here on his Saturday job, so we were the two Saturday boys. And but I absolutely loved it. I always loved it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe what Derek is talking around there, it very, very quickly realised that you weren't just working in a shop. And that was always the great thing about it. You know, retail is such a big business, but we weren't just working in a shop. We were working in a business. It was exciting. As Derek said, we were sent off on buying things around Europe and stuff, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And it was exciting.
There was no Sunday opening back then, so Sunday was the best day of the week for us, because Saturday evening, that's it. Pack up the car. Ken was driving at the time. I wasn't. You know, we hit it off from instantly the first Saturday we worked together, and we did everything together. You know, went skiing, climbing. You know, that's I met Audrey, my wife here, and she joined in. Vanessa joined in. You know, straight away. Nowhere was too far, and getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be back and work at night, and on Monday morning. Then, like it was just adventure after adventure after, and it was encouraged. You know, it was encouraged by Leslie and Gerry. You know, go out there, do it, and they were brilliant, weren't they? It was almost like a club, an adventure club we had as staff. Wednesday evening, weather's looking good. Close at 5 o'clock. Let's get up and
Well, that like what you're saying, Ken, about it's not just a shop. Like, definitely can see that from the outside looking in. That like and those sorts of staff adventures and stuff like that, it is all still related, because there's so much expertise, like there's so much expertise and so much knowledge that goes into all of the products that are surrounding us here in the store, that like if someone comes in and they have the most specific little question, they'll be probably, or about a stove or whatever, I'm just looking at your stove range over there, like the chances are somebody has had that same issue with their stove or whatever the case may be, and it's like that sort of lived experience can then be passed on. It's like, it's not just, scanning and getting people out the door and selling things.
Not at all.
And the staff are all gear geeks. Like, they all want the latest and greatest gear too. And you wouldn't believe the excitement here when let's say we get the spring and all the new stuff is coming in, and the staff are rummaging through boxes, and you know what it's like.
Absolutely. Whenever you started, like when did the opportunity sort of present itself to take a more managerial or even ownership role in Great Outdoors? And what was that process like? Were you doubtful at first, or how did you feel about the prospect of taking over the business?
I guess it came about because, you know, you can't. We had both moved into senior management positions, different roles, and you get slightly concerned about what's the future here. You know, I'm wondering what the owners are going to do, and they treated us like family. You know, they didn't hide anything, and you could have an open conversation, and we had an open conversation about what's the future for you guys, for us, for everybody, and you know, that I think it was just a fairly natural conversational flow then from there on in to say, okay, if you wanted to achieve where we are today, what does it look like? How do we get there? Here's the stepping stones that would need to happen. Here's what you guys and they helped us, dragged us, you know.
It was a good future for them too, to know that they could leave something behind, like that they weren't.
Would be in good hands.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you know, the sort of ethos that we spoke about before would be kept up, basically.
You know, we still nearly call both of them our bosses as well. You know, even though it's, you know, Leslie is 20 years gone, Gerry is 15.
Yeah.
Still, when you come in, that's the kind of respect you still have for them. You know.
We still see them a lot, like, you know, like they still potter in or go for a coffee, and it's great to hear them. And, you know, I think genuinely that they're proud of where their little brainchild went from two guys working in a corner shop to where it is now. They're still really, really proud of it. Like, and it's great still to hear from them and see them and have a chat about it. And they're so interested in where we're going and how things are going. And they're great.
And business has obviously changed quite a lot. And like, we're obviously here to celebrate 50 years of Great Outdoors. Like, business has obviously changed a lot, but the outdoors in general, like in Ireland, we were talking about access to more rural places has changed a great deal. How have you observed the change of just outdoor recreation, like the types of things that people are coming in for? Do you see, you've been able to observe trends, I'm sure. Is there anything that has changed massively in the last 50?
Access, like global access, you know, to
adventure travel, like
Camino, Kilimanjaro, you know, it's very achievable. It's been made very achievable for mid-level hikers, you know. And then, you know, to give Ireland its own bit of credit as well, you know, Ireland has, compared to those days I mentioned, we'd head office, and, you know, it's absolutely fantastic wherever you go hiking in Ireland, you know, the facilities, the quality of the hikes, the quality of the access to it. So locally, that encourages, you know, stepping up, going to, if the Camino is your next adventure, or the Alps, or Scotland, or Kilimanjaro, it's all, I don't want to take it away. When we've been there, done it, it's one of our proudest moments doing Kilimanjaro, but it's nearly normal now. It's once you're fit enough and able, it's easy to do. It's easy to get to, you know, versus the times we mentioned in the past where it would be a month. Now, what was a month is now a week. You know, I think that's what we were just chatting about this yesterday, actually, about all of these 7 Summit series, for example. They're week-long mini expeditions, you know, and air travel, good organisations, great relationships between tour companies and locals, wherever it may be, I think has made it all so accessible.
So your trip to Peru isn't 2 months anymore now. It's 3 weeks, as you say, with proper air travel and organisation. And
but probably if it was, your trip to Peru was 3 months, that was it. You know, you weren't going again for 4 years. You know, whereas genuinely people are doing it every year. They're doing another summit. You know, because the price has probably come down a little bit a lot compared to what it was then, and the time as well. You know, the time is so valuable to people. But I think it all starts in Ireland is doing an absolutely fantastic job of encouraging people into outdoors everywhere you go. You know, trails. It's in every week you're listening about some other area of the country developing, trying to encouraging people outdoor. No more. I mean, you're a fantastic ambassador for yourself, Matthew. But it's I think that's where it starts.
Yeah. And also, like, obviously with that, the gear that's accessible for even mid-level, as you're saying, sort of mid-level outdoor enthusiasts, like the quality of the gear that's accessible to those people is probably better than what people had 40 or 50 years ago for their pinnacle expeditions almost.
We'd debate that, wouldn't we? You know, it's absolute, you know, we think technologies and backpacks, you know, for sure, or electronics, GPS, but you know, our earliest memories would be the mountain equipment, Gore-Tex, Annapurna. This jacket would, if you had one back in 1987, it's still, you probably can't get a better jacket for it.
I remember when I bought my mountain equipment Lotzi jacket in here, you told me that you had bought, I don't know if it actually was a mountain equipment one, but a Gore-Tex jacket that you have for 25 years. It's probably the same, probably the jacket you're talking about there. Yeah.
And you can just care for it. And also, you know what a piece of kit that you've had for 25 years feels like. I think as well, the pinnacle, let's call it, of stuff that you were talking about then is stuff that we stock now. Like Derek is talking about the amount of people going on so many more adventures, like higher, further, faster, you know, and we probably stock a lot better level of kit now than we did then. Some of the stuff that you were getting for those expeditions, guys going to Everest or going to Lhotse or anything, like, we'd be making a kit list a year in advance, and we'd be going through it. What about this, and who are we going to get that from? And even with the guys going to Everest now, there was very little that we actually had to specifically get for them. And there's no more, like, there's so much of that going on now that there's no bespoke need for getting something made or down suits, or we just measure them and we know what they want and we get them. And I'd say, aside from maybe their boots and their down suits, which are very specific, we'd stock everything else, and that's the level of equipment in use has gone way, way up. Like, and it's because of the Kilimanjaros and the Kenyas and the Everest base camps, and there's so many people now looking for kit that the level of everything has gone up. And I think that's exciting. Like, you know, when you look at the range of stuff that we sell, if you consider the boots we sell just for hiking, and now you've got, like, trekking, high altitude trekking, like, we stock 6,000 meter boots. Who'd have thought that, like, you know?
Yeah.
And I suppose when I refer back to the Annapurna jacket, all I'm saying there is that the guys we back then, 50s, still stocked top end for what was available, and that those products would still stand up today. But when you look at the mid-level hiker, and that's probably more relevant to your question about how things have changed phenomenally, Matthew. Like, you know, technology is materials, lightweight, you know, and consumer knowledge as well. You know, there's so many people know what they want before they come in. You know, for walking the Camino, they're much more educated for the size of litre capacity backpack, the size. You know, it's not as simple as there's your backpack. Now we're measuring your back and making sure it's right for you. And
does that make your job easier or harder? Because people come in kind of with a knowledge, or with maybe a perception of knowledge in some cases, of what they actually want.
It makes it easier and harder.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah.
We have people coming in like, I want that.
Yeah.
And that's either amazing or the wrong thing for them. And so I was magazining, like, people looking at stuff on the internet. So it does make people a lot more educated about what they need and what they want. And so a lot of those people can be easily steered to what they need, rather than just specifically coming in and pointing at something and ending up with the wrong product. So a lot of people are open-minded, and it's those people who have tried to educate themselves.
When you think of if you're buying a camping mattress in 1990 versus 2026, there was a self-inflating mattress. Then there was one. It was a Thermarest.
Yeah.
And now, you know, it's not as simple as that.
What size,
anymore.
what shape, what warmth, what thickness do you want?
What lining do you want? And,
Yeah.
you know, it's I suppose with stuff like that, and with innovations in areas like that, it's really interesting. You know, and our guys want to stock the best option, you know, good, better, best.
Yes. Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask next, was, like, Great Outdoors has always sort of, in my mind, always been positioned at the upper end of, like, outdoor retail, essentially. Like it's good, better, best. It's not like bottom of the barrel, we'll get you to the top of Carrantoul and then a couple of really nice items. It's like all of them, like everything in this store is fit for purpose.
Yeah.
I think it's
and I suppose sorry, it's more
okay.
like the culture now, like I've heard it said, I don't know if I totally agree, but like we live in a throw out culture where people will like sort of buy and get rid of things, and like it's very sort of like if things wear out, you just buy a new one instead of resole or repair and stuff like that. Whereas like a lot of the brands that you stock here offer that sort of the warranty or the resoling or the patching or whatever, which I think is like, maybe it'd be interesting to ask you, do you see that being something that people are interested in when they're buying their items, or is it just a surprised, like are they just pleasantly surprised that, oh, those Mindel boots, you can get them resold?
I think our staff definitely tell our customers what's available when they're buying them. And Mindel is a great example because so many people have so many pairs of Mindels. It's if you buy their brown leather boots, like they're handmade in Germany in a massive factory in the middle of nowhere. And we've been to the factory, and
Pretty cool.
Mindle is one of the brands that we had the first day we opened. And it's a family-owned business, and so they're so nice. They're so proud. They want to tell you about it, but they bring you up to this huge room where all the repairs are done, and all the resoling and the patching and the whole lot. And you want to see the size of it. And it's a huge part of their business. They're really proud of. And it's not the apprentices. It's the master bootmakers in the workroom repairing boots. So the apprentices are not allowed near the existing customer's product. And you're right, because now RAB are offering this service, and they'll re-clean, re-proof, re-zipper, anything that you want. And so a lot of the manufacturers now are really coming on board with the repairing thing, or making a story of it. But they've always actually done it.
Yeah.
And like those guys that came from a guy making his own kit in his garage for him and his mates, and it growing into the business like Rab Carrington, and like those guys were always like that. They always took stuff back. They always repaired it, and they're just making a bit more of a story about it. And I think if you always bought into that higher end, real storied equipment, they always did that.
I think I'll always remember John O'Regan. Probably won't quote him exactly, but he was always where he's going. You can't buy your way out of trouble. That there is no. It's broken, I'll buy a new one. It has to last. And I think that's
like paraphrasing Back to the Future. It's
Exactly.
like where we're going. I can't buy my way out of trouble.
And he was always drilling that home to us, or anybody who he was mentoring. Bring in who were going on the next trip, or where he'd been. He's saying, where you're in the middle of the Marathon de Sable, there is no shop halfway through that you can buy new. You got to get it right. You got to buy the. You've got to have
you've also got to have the right socks on your foot on day one if you don't want to have blisters. It's not you can't just fix it halfway through, sort of thing.
He's thinking ahead to what has worked before, what's reliable, and that drives us as well. To
the technologies
technology and reliability, I suppose.
When you started on the floor in Great Outdoors, did you ever think that you'd be owners, like captains of the ship? Was that ever?
I never thought Ken would.
And here we are after me dragging it on.
Because like what you were saying before about like you did your transition year work experience. Like, it's actually funny. I can relate to that. Like, I remember like what I want. I don't think I ever said this to you, but when I was like, whatever, 10, 11, all I wanted for Christmas or all I wanted for my birthday was a voucher for Great Outdoors. Brilliant. Like, I didn't even want I didn't want my auntie to go in and guess what I wanted. I wanted her to give me €50
Go and explore.
And then see, like, and I bought a Van Gogh, like a little pocket, like sort of rip-off pocket rocket thing. It's still fantastic. I still use it all the time. But it's like, that was like €25, and then, okay, I'll get a foldable bowl and I'll get a spork, and that's my €50, you know? And I think I knew quite early on that Great Outdoors was the store that I wanted to work in, and then got that opportunity. But so, like, when you were starting, at what point were you like, you know what, I actually, like, I assume you don't have any background in actually business studies or anything like that. So how do you...
Back to the start, that's, you know, as soon as we committed to Great Outdoors, we were encouraged hugely. You know, early days, sent out to the IMI until we got it, then come back, you know, and apply what we've learned. But we are trusted, you know. They gave us plenty of rope, the guys, you know, and encouragement, and practical experience, you know, that shared behind the scenes of the business. As I say, brought us. That was always their ethos, was to bring you out and learn. So anybody who was interested got to go to the European trade shows. And for me, you know, I mentioned that to you earlier on, it was, this is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. There's never one day, and there still hasn't been one day, where you think getting up in the morning, oh no, got to go to work. You know, it's and that's amazing. That's, you know, that feeling is, and I had that feeling from very early on, and it was probably early 2000s when we got together and said, you know, we did everything together. You know, whether it was the things like the auxiliary fire service in our spare time and stuff like that. You know, we did absolutely everything together. We're always thinking, what's the future? You know, it's and you know, back to the earlier conversation, it was just chatting to the guys, and they were, let's do this. You know, let's.
And it was exciting and work. Like, we were enjoying our lives, and we were young then, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, yes, there is a point when you have to be responsible and think, can I carry on working in here? But as I said to you, you never felt like you were working in a shop. We were working in a business.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there was no fear that I better go off and get a real job. It was, and we did have to reach a point where we said, what are we going to do about the future? And when we discussed it with Leslie and Gerry, they were very open to it as well, because it was a future for them.
My last, for me, it's starting in transition year, and then if you fast forward to leaving cert and you're just about to do the exams, and my final bit of career guidance from school was, so you're the only one who hasn't come back with what you'd like to do in the future, you know. And said, you know, you can't work in a shop forever. You gotta.
Turns out you can.
Turns out you can. You know, it's. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Isn't it a great lesson for people in life as well? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just go to work and love it.
Well,
Like,
I think especially with the way that the world is now, like, if you're really passionate about something, there's no reason why you can't make that your career. And like, if you're really passionate about gear and adventure and like giving that opportunity to people, like, there's no reason why that can't be your full time.
Yeah.
And I think it's if we're to take any credit at all from it, is we've taken Leslie and Gerry's ethos and brought that forward. You know, myself and Ken are sitting here, but there's wonderful people whom you know, quite a few, who are actually running the business. You know, we couldn't do it without them. You know, there's, and I hope they feel, you know, whether they are family or just people working here, it is still a family business, very much so. And if you want responsibility, if you want to move forward, you want to include, you know, back to even yourself, Matthew, when you were working here, you know, you were working on the shop floor, and then you got into the media side of things, and you know, I'd like to think we encourage you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go and do it, and it's still the same for anyone who wants to do it. The world is your oyster in here. You know, we're delighted if people want to stay, develop, and
so we have got people here 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, 35 years,
Yeah,
40
we were
years.
only chatting before the cameras were rolling about my dad bought his first down sleeping bag from Carol, who's literally in for a shift today. She just saw her walking by. Like, it's just...
It's like
so
furniture
amazing.
now.
yeah, literally. Just a couple of sort of wrap-up questions, but I really enjoyed the chat. I suppose, what do you see being the future for Great Outdoors? What do you see? What is something that you're excited about at the minute that you're sort of looking forward to developing on, or how do you see the future of outdoor recreation in Ireland, and how people, like people's buying habits, and where Great Outdoors sort of fits into that?
Well, I think one of the developments that we didn't mention in the conversation so far is e-commerce or online, and that's a huge part of our future, one we're taking very seriously, have been for quite some time, and taking the next steps beyond that, taking it really, really serious. It's you just can't put an amount of how important it is to a business today. So that's probably our biggest focus, and obviously we're a bricks and mortar store. We're very proud to be high street retailers, and we'll always do our best. We'll always strive for retail excellence, but a massive focus, and that can't be ignored, is the online side of our business.
I think when I look at what's available, you know, so we've all been off to the Alps in the summer, and we're going around the world, and we pick up new brands as we go along, and the staff, some of them more than others, are absolutely manic about getting new brands and new stuff, and I think that's really exciting. Ireland and Irish outdoor people are like outdoor children nearly, because when you see what's available, and you've seen it yourself, you go to the Alps and you're like, oh my God, and you see so much new stuff, and we're like, oh my God, I'm going to get myself one of them. And you know, we're coming back from trips and saying, oh, that brand was awesome, we're trying to investigate it, see if we can get it. And I think Irish people are so far behind nearly the rest of the world in outdoor gear and technology that it's just going to get really big.
Yeah, I have a bit of a joke, because I live very close to the Wicklow Way, and during the summer especially, you see a lot of people obviously traipsing along the Wicklow Way, and like I might be out just for a dog walk or a run on the local trails, and like you can see from very far away whether the hiker is Irish or not based off the colour of their gear. And like that's something that I've always like tried to be the opposite of. Like, I'll wear the bright colours because it's what they do in the Alps, and there's no reason why Ireland should be behind. And I think you guys are playing, and Great Outdoors is playing a kind of quite a pivotal role in bringing the quality of Irish adventure on, and like really catering to that. So supporting our Irish adventure is more than just like a tagline, and it's more than just the like pinnacle athletes going off to climb Everest. It's the everyday people, and it's impacting the culture so that like the next generations have like the same level of adventure and the same appreciation for outdoor spaces. So thanks for all you do. All happy birthday, Great Outdoors.
Thanks very much.
And all the best for the next 50.
Thanks
Great to chat to you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely. Super.
Woo! Thanks a million, Matt.
Well done, Matthew. Thanks a million, Matthew. Appreciate it.
Yeah, not a bother.
Turns out Connell didn't have to do anything.
So I hope you enjoyed that chat with Ken and Derek of Great Outdoors. I think it was really good to sort of pull back the curtain a little bit as to the history and the running, day-to-day running of a store like Great Outdoors, and really recognizing the cultural impact that a store like that has on kind of the outdoor culture in Ireland. Like, it's often not really thought about, but the products that they stock in store are the products that people are using, and the sway that they have in that side of things is really kind of instrumental in how people experience the outdoors and explore the outdoors in Ireland and abroad, as we touched on. Please consider subscribing to the Outsider Podcast on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you're listening to this, and I will see you very soon for another episode. Thanks very much for listening. See you again.